This notifies consumers that a product was made or grown with processes that do not harm the environment. Sharp thinking, eco-labeling is the right choice. This practice involves efforts to influence an elected official into supporting a specific interest. Clear logic. Your choice lobbying is sound and 100% true.
Levying taxes on each unit of pollution discharged into the air or water is an example of DASH.
Perfect. Green taxes is the correct choice.
The highly developed nations of Earth consume -% of the world's energy.
You chose 70%, and it is correct.
What is represented by the point where the two sloping lines intersect?
Excellent choice. Equilibrium is the right answer. What is represented by the line that slopes down toward the right? Strong choice. Demand is the right answer.
A protective layer of atmosphere surrounding the Earth.
Well done. Ozone is the right choice. Which branch of the U.S. government is involved in interpreting environmental laws and hearing lawsuits regarding environmental issues? Correct. Judicial branch is the right answer. The decision to produce goods and services that can produce maximum profits with existing natural resources is called. Nicely done. Technical efficiency is a solid answer. The Taj Mahal, Lotus Temple, Golden Temple, India Gate, and other famous heritage monuments are being affected by DASH. Good job. Your answer, air pollution, works well here. Noise levels at construction sites can be controlled using proper construction planning and scheduling techniques. Right again. True is a valid answer. Environmental quality is almost the same as in the case of public goods. The characteristics of public goods are. Correct response. Non-rival, in consumption non-excludable, is the most accurate answer. What major entity of the U.S. government has the chief responsibility for overseeing environmental regulations? You got it. Your choice, Environmental Protection Agency, is right. All the things that must be considered about the environment when doing a cost-benefit analysis are called. Right choice. Externalities is the best answer. Which of the following problems is most likely to prevent successful implementation of the EU's Green Deal? You're right. Holdout effect is the correct answer. The curve that shows that until a country is wealthy, it won't address environmental problems is called. Smart pick. Kuznets is the correct choice. Who is responsible for the degradation of biodegradable organic mats present in the domestic sewage? On track. Bacteria and other microbes is the correct answer. Perhaps India's worst industrial environmental tragedy, the Bhopal gas tragedy, happened in which year? Good thinking. 1984 is the right answer. Setting DASH on environmental services would allow people to better perform a cost-benefit analysis. Well picked. Values is the correct answer. Some people argue that because Earth's resources are ultimately limited, non-stop economic growth is. Nice selection. Not sustainable is the correct and valid answer. Environment can absorb organic pollutants and carbon dioxide. Those pollutants are categorized as.
Smart move. Fund pollutants is an accurate answer. Experimental economics. Which of the following experiments has the highest level of control?
Great thinking. Artifactual field experiment is the right choice.
Residues from production and consumption activities are impossible to avoid, but can be done.
Excellent. All true is a brilliant choice.
The pollutant where environment has little or no absorptive capacity to recycle waste is. Exactly. Stock pollutants make sense and it is the right choice. The book, Steady State Economics, is written by which Nobel laureate green economist? Valid point. Herman Daly is true. The second period of environmental policy dealt mainly with problems associated with dash. Bravo. Westward expansion is the answer. What is an activity that has a negative impact on society and the environment called?
Nice work. You chose negative externality, and it is correct.
The relationship between economic activities and the environment is known as science. Solid response. Environmental economics is a valid choice. A study of how people make decisions about resources by weighing costs and benefits. Great job. Economics is the accurate answer. Cap and trade was done successfully to prevent sulfur dioxide from directly causing. Well reasoned. Acid rain is the correct choice. What is the total amount of payment received from a consumer for a good or service? Smart move. Revenue is an accurate answer. The pollutants cause damage near the source of emissions. The pollutants refers to. Well picked. Local pollutants is the correct answer. Each which of the following is not the benefits of auctioning emission allowances? Great job. Reduce carbon leakage is the accurate answer. Energy Star, Luzda Organic, and Fair Trade Certified are all examples of. Exactly. Ecolabelling makes sense and it is right choice. What do you call someone who makes or provides a good or service for purchase? Good thinking. Producer is the right answer. This solution sets legal limit on the amount of the pollutant allowed to emit. You chose emission standards, and it is correct. For which of the following pollutants would a market mechanism be effective?
Clear logic. Your choice, uniformly mixed regional pollutants, is sound and 100% true.
What is a good which is produced domestically but sold in a foreign country? Strong choice. Export is the right answer. What do you call the tools and equipment needed to create a good or service? You're right. Capital resources is the correct answer. Its which allocation method for emission allowances has a fairness concern. Nice selection. Grandparenting is the correct and valid answer. When did environmental economics become a formalized subfield of economics? Perfect. 1990s is the correct choice. The pollutants cause damage at greater distances. The pollutants is called. Solid response. Global pollutants is a valid choice. Ultimately, where do economies get their resources and put their wastes? Nice work. You chose ecosystems, and it is correct. One approach that can be taken to reduce pollution by the government is correct. Pigouvian tax is the right answer. Material and energy cannot be created and cannot be destroyed, known as. Excellent choice. First law of thermodynamics is the right answer. A market model that is suitable for analyzing environmental problems is. Good job. Your answer, hypothetical market, works well here. What is one of the primary greenhouse gases that causes climate change? Smart pick. Carbon dioxide is the correct choice. What is the total amount of a good or service available for purchase? Well done. Supply is the right choice. Global increases in carbon dioxide emissions are primarily due to. Sharp thinking. Fossil fuel use is the right choice. Which of the following are the primary causes of water pollution? Valid point. Human activities is true. When was the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act passed? Right choice. 1981 is the best answer. What is one drawback of being more efficient with fossil fuels? On track. Decreased demand for gas is the correct answer. Which country leads the world in renewable energy investment? Great thinking. China is the right choice. The amount of a product offered for sale at a given price is. Correct response. Supply is the most accurate answer. In making environmental policies, government interacts with. Well reasoned. All of the above is the correct choice. A major externality is the amount of dash in the atmosphere. Nicely done. Carbon dioxide is a solid answer. Types of market instruments in reducing pollution, except. Excellent. Pollution dissolve is a brilliant choice. Increasing the durability of product is otherwise called. You got it. Your choice, product life extension, is right. Many groups try to influence government policies through. Right again. Lobbying is a valid answer. First line of defense to protect the resource is through. Bravo. Waste reduction is the answer. Why don't environmental management standards work? Excellent choice. All true is the right answer. What is the main focus of environmental economics? Nice selection. All of the above is the correct and valid answer. What is the general increase in prices over time? You're right. Inflation is the correct answer. Increased levels of air pollution results in dash. Well reasoned. Respiratory problems is the correct choice. Which pollution cause hearing loss in organisms? Smart pick. Noise pollution is the correct choice. Externality is the result of production and dash. Nice work. You chose consumption of goods, and it is correct. Economic decisions are based on how to allocate. You got it? Your choice, scarce resources, is right. China's rapid industrialization has resulted in. Clear logic. Your choice, widespread air pollution, is sound and 100% true. There are several risk analysis models, except. On track. Risk exposure is the correct answer.
Commonly used risk management strategies are
Strong choice. All true is the right answer.
deforestation may reduce the chances of dash.
Valid point. Rainfall is true.
The first Factories Act was enacted in dash.
Correct response. 1885 is the most accurate answer.
Which one doesn't belong ecosystem services?
Exactly. Shopping services makes sense, and it is right choice. Tewari Committee was appointed in dash. Right again. Industrial sickness is a valid answer. Dash is the law that rules our economy. Smart move. Supply and demand is an accurate answer. Sustainable use of natural resources. Good job. Your answer conservation works well here. The environmental standard type is excellent. All true is a brilliant choice. Recycling reduces dash. Sharp thinking. Energy usage is the right choice. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format.
Bravo. Contact Narayan Changder is the answer.